The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good spring break. I'm glad you're here. I'm on my spring break as well, so it's really nice that you're here. We're going to be reviewing real quick on the checkers, the final checkers deal we're doing, so you can get your 3D prints. And then we're going to be doing CodeCombat. I'm going to teach you about Java scripting here. And this is really, I think, a lot of fun and a great way to start to learn how to program. Just as you don't learn Spanish with one class, you don't learn programming with one class, but this is a great way to start. Okay? So, first things first, on Tinkercad, we want to make sure that you're building your checkers. If you want to print out a checker and mold and cast and mold it, I should say. If you just want to make something, that's not that. You don't have to worry about the plate or necessarily doing a checker. Your dimension should be no bigger than 80 by 80 by 10, or you can think of it as 80 by 40 by 20. So basically you're looking at 64,000 cubic millimeters. So you can do things like 80 by 80 by 10 gets you to 64,000. 80 by 40 by 20 would do it. 40 by 40 by 20, let me see, 80 by 40 and 20 do it. 40 by 40 by 40 would do it, I think. I'd have to look at that. That might not be right. So I have to redo that math. All right? No, actually, that would do it. So those are all things that if you want to build it. If it gets to be really complicated and more than 2 hours to build, probably not going to do it. We'll make it smaller so it fits better. Something you need to do is share with me when you make it. Remember, you say you do make the checker and you're going to cast and mold it. Make sure you have this bottom plate. This whole thing can't be bigger than 50 by 50, 10 millimeters high to make the checker. That bottom plate is just there to help us make casts of this mold. The mold part that we're really going to use here in Charlotte, Iowa, the panther. So here's a little panther on top, and on our checker. And we did this last week where we imported SVG, a vector style file. So here he is. There's our kitty cat. Also, when you go to share it to me, you have a link down there. You need to make your cat public. When you do, they'll give you a link or whatever checker. Make it public. Get the link. Post your name, first name only, Iowa, and say first name, Iowa, and the link. So that way I know to go to it. It'd be great too if you told me what it is. So in my case, I have Final Panther Checker, Tom, Charlotte Middle School. Any questions about that? Let me see, I got a hand up here. Does it have to be 10 millimeters high? It can be higher, but then it can't be as big outwards. If it's a checker, we don't want it too much higher than that just because of the casting of it. Okay? But remember, it's the dimensions of 80 by 80, then it's by 10. But you could do it 40 by 40 by 40. Yes, Luke. Yeah, Luke.
I was just wondering, how big does the base plate have to be?
Well, the base plate has got to be probably 50 millimeters because that's bigger. It's got to be bigger than this. All right.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna glue that plate. You're gonna glue that base plate onto a piece of really it's a popcorn box. Then we're gonna pour mold material over top of it. And 30 minutes later, you're gonna flip the mold material over. So you want that base so you can get around to cut it out. And then if you cut it and it's not perfectly cut, the next circle down and your emblem you're trying to do, that'll be in good shape. And so then we just slowly pour in the what's called the casting material, and you can get some really nice checkers that way. All right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Another question. So what do you have to say to get to look at it? I'm not sure. You have to make it public and put it on Edmodo. Is that your question? What do you mean? What do you mean, Hope? Yes, Hope. You have a question? Help. Oh, it's fine. Oh, I guess you got it. All right, great. So that's what we really want to do. Again, if you look under Tom Dubik, look for this logo, you'll see some of these public designs. You'll see all these checkers I made. So I've been busy making all kinds of checkers. So you can see this. So there's all the checkers. Notice the rounder ones look a little bit nicer than if you just take something circle and put the duck in it. Also notice, like we did last time, their cookie maker you could make out of this. I made one part of the cookie maker over there. So there's all kinds of nifty things we can do with this. All right. It's hard to find the cookie dough. They don't sell it in tubes like they used to. All right. Now, with that said, let's go into this next thing called CodeCombat. And this is really, I hope, how many people played CodeCombat before? Raise your hand if you've done this. All right, you're in for a treat. How many people played Scratch before, have coded in Scratch? I know I got a couple of us. All right, good. Well, Scratch is icon-based. This is more text-based. So let's first talk about what Java is, and then let's move on. JavaScript is a scripting language used in browsers such as Chrome and Firefox. And some people runs fine in Safari if you have the Java app installed in it. JavaScript and Java are not related. Java was a lot like, if you were here in the fall, we did some things with Arduinos. And Java's a little bit C-like. JavaScript is not Java. It's just made to run on it's a scripting language made to run on browsers. Doesn't mean you can't do things with it. A lot of games are just written in JavaScript. All right? And one thing you should really understand, I don't care which languages y'all. I'm going to introduce you to different languages, and next year, if you sign up in the fall, we're all going to get Raspberry Pis. You're going to make things. We'll use Python then. It's a question of teaching you how to think, how to program, because if you are going to be an engineer or a programmer, you need to be able to program. Okay? And I'm always looking for interesting ways to do that. So, you're going to learn about JavaScript by playing CodeCombat, where you type lines of code to move characters, fight monsters, and collect treasures. CodeCombat is free and runs well on Chrome and Firefox. So I just had a report it wasn't running so great on Firefox. Another person said Safari, so we're going to find out. So what we're going to do is go to where it says CodeCombat. I'm going to pull it up right here. I'll give you the link. And I'm going to share it with you all. Okay. All right. Okay. When you go to create a character, here's my accounts. I've already, I've got a when you go to create your character, make sure, let me show you on my PowerPoint slides here. It'll go in, getting started, you're going to make a character. You're going to go to the Dungeons of Githgard. And there's your character. Girl, boy, doesn't matter. Make sure you select, it defaults to Python. Make sure you select JavaScript. And in this case, I chose a guy, but you could have been the girl and chose JavaScript. All right? Then you're going to equip her, and that equip is going to give you a method. And go ahead, raise your hand. Once you've gotten your character set, you're to this point right here where you're going to make her equip her. All right? And then raise your hands once you've done that. Raise your hands once you've done that. Got questions here? Do we make an account? Yes. That way you can save it and get good at programming in this. All right? Let me know once you've got that, folks. I'm going to pause it here and mute myself just for a moment. Okay, folks, raise your hand if you've got your character picked out, please. All right, good. Okay, just a couple more. Make sure you get your character pick out. Let us know what you need. Got a couple people here. Cole, Caden. Get that so we can get started. Once you have your character, you got to double click it to equip it. And what it's really going to do is give you what's called a method, a way of doing things. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So here's the method. Self move down, self move left, self move right, self move up. These are granted by the boots that you put on. So you can move your character down, left, right, or up. And if you can't figure something out, there's a help key that's pretty literal. That'll give you lots of ideas. All right, so you have that as well. And I want to start talking about methods. Methods are like functions, but they're associated with a specific object. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, self is your character, and it's saying move down with these two little parentheses by it. Functions aren't associated with a character, print or input. And if you've not had this is for people who've had a little bit of programming before, will know this a little bit more. But if you had Scratch, remember you had a function if in on edge bounce. Well, that was just this bit of code right here. If touching edge, point in this direction. Change 1 by 180. But to save having to write all that code out, we created a function came in Scratch called bounce. Right? Well, methods are functions associated with a specific object. So it's self dot move down parentheses. There's your method. All right, where a function doesn't necessarily have that. It just does it. It doesn't have to have self next to it. The object here is self, which refers to your player. Self is actually a variable that stores all the information about your player. So we have variable name, age, assignment 3, value 3. Name is Dubek as another way. So you could have age equals 3, name Dubek. Notice 3, there's no quotations. Dubek, since you literally want a string or letters, you put quotations. You're going to get to try all this in a minute in the game, so just bear with me, guys. I'm trying to show you a little bit here. So in level 1, you're going to play it, and you're going to type out the code: self move right, self move down, self move right. And it's going to get this character to come screaming across to get the stone. All right? And so let's go do the first 3. So I would go into CodeCombat. I'm going to play. Hopefully, let's see here. All right, I'm going to play. It's going to come up, ask me. I've already done this one, but I'm going to go back and because you're going to say start at Kithgard Dungeon. All right. Bring that up. So you click on the very first Dungeons of Kithgard. Click on play. Inventory, you're going to have to double click to equip. Say, in this case, I've gone up a level so I can equip this. Alright, wait a minute, I don't have a sword there. I'm going to equip my sword. I can't carry it. I don't want to carry it because I'm going to be doing damage down the road.
CodeCombat.
All you're going to do is collect gems. You're not even going to start fighting here. So I'm going to pause them. Let me turn that music off. My guy automatically runs because we have the code, but over here on the right is where you're going to type the code in. So I typed in self move right. That moved him across the right. Self move down, down, and then back to the right. Everybody do the first 3 of these. Raise your hand once you have them. Folks, need you to raise your hand if you've gotten through the first 3 lessons, or write a question if you have it. And don't worry if you haven't gotten the first 3. That's why we take class time to do this. Folks, let's go ahead. I'm putting everybody's hands down. There's a question on this. Let me explain the first few levels, and then we can answer any questions, okay? All right, folks, let me just go ahead. Let's see if you have any questions on these first few levels, okay? Let me show you on my PowerPoint, and then we can talk about it. All right. So on the very first one, you're just moving your character down. You self-move right, then move down, then move right. Raise your hand if you had a question on that first one. All right, someone has a question. Yes, on your checkers, post your link as an Edmodo. Yes, yes, Jacob. All right, any questions on level 1? Well, in level 2, you have to move up twice and then to the top gem. So you move once there and then move up to the gem. So you got, go back to that. Self move right, self move down, move up, move right. Okay? And then you can see right here, you're going over there. And sometimes you can't go here because he's going to get you. By going up there, he won't. So we move right, up, right, down, right. Okay? You know, you can't take the lower route in the 4th one because there's no Jones stones there. So let me show you the next of these, and you can take it from there. All right, we're going to get a sword. If your shoes were a method that allow you to move, the sword allows you to attack. So you self.attack. All right? All right? So you have self, period, attack, target. All right? So there's your method. Then you have integers, floating numbers, booleans, and strings. So integers 4, floating numbers 4.0. They're different variables when you attack. So when you attack, you're going to have to say something. So self-attack treg with quotations is going to get an enemy named tregged. But you can also self-attack a variable, say enemy. Well, what do we mean by variables? Let's come back again on that. There's different kinds. There's integers. Those are whole numbers. They have a decimal point. We call them floating point variables. Booleans, true or false, yes or no. In this case, they might be true. Strings are 4. All right? Now, when we tell it to attack, self-attack treg, you're giving it a string. So you got to put that literally. You want to say quotation treg. But if it's just an enemy, a variable called enemy, you just write the variable. You don't do quotes. This will make a little more sense as we get going here. And, you know, notice the strings right there. All right. Level 6, make sure you put the armor on. All right. Level 6, make a note to yourself. Make sure you put the armor on. And go up to level 7, then raise your hand, and I'll explain looping. All right. Go up to 7, then raise your hand. I will explain looping. Raise your hands. Reminder, just raise your hands by the time you get to lesson 7. I want to talk to you about loops. Good job, Hope. You can raise your hand now. You can keep working, okay? And you folks, if you're going farther ahead, go ahead and work on it. And we'll wait for others. Don't just sit or wait. Or you can work on your Tinkercad, whichever case you would like. All right, folks, raise your hand. Remember, raise it if you've gotten up to lesson 7. Because it says we only have half of us. Jacob, if you've gotten there, Luke, Cole, let me know. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. All right, we're getting pretty far there. Okay, can everybody take a quick look at loops now then? You're getting a book now. This is on loops, and what loops do is allow you to keep repeating things so you don't have to keep typing them over and over. It allows it to, can be very helpful and save you a lot of time. If you have had Scratch, remember you use loops to repeat things. In this case, you'd switch a costume and move a few steps, and it would do it 6 times. So that would mean if it's 10 steps, 6 times, 60 times without having to write that out every time. And for example, in this bit of code, you go up, down, up, down, up, down. So by move right, move up, move up, and it repeats it over and over again. So that should give you a hand with 7. And 8, you're looking for the same kind of pattern. Now what is the pattern here? It's right, up, right, down, right, up, right, down. Okay, you know, look for that. Also, we can do loop self-attack the door, and it'll just keep hitting the door and over until you destroy it. All right. And in here, you have enemy 1, 2, and 3. You have self-attack enemy 1, which is Krat. Self-attack enemy 2, enemy 3. And we do this because Krat, Jert are strings. And so we say literally we want Krat. And case matters in a lot of languages. So capital quotation, capital K, RTT, quotation, capital G, RT, quotation. Ursa, same thing. And then you put your name and then Dubek. Right? So here's name, then Dubek. And variables are useful because I can make anything an enemy now. All I have to do is change it here and and then we don't have to worry about changing it all the way down here. Whereas if I have to write literally this, it allows me to just assign all the variables in the beginning of my program, and then the rest of it, if I want to change something, I just have to change it in one place. This will become more apparent to you as the more you work with this. Variables useful because they are a way to write code for changing or unknown value. You'll see, like I'm saying. All right, go through level 10 now. All right, and then we'll get into find nearest enemy if we have time. Raise your hand once you get through level 10. You're ready to do a level 11. Hey folks, has anybody gotten to lesson 10? Raise your hand if you've gotten to lesson 10. Type a question if you've got for this. Raise your hands once you get to that. All right, folks. How many people have got? Raise your hand if you've gotten up to 11 here. And we only have a few minutes. We got a question. Let me see what this question is. Yeah, play at 11:10. What I do want to show you in 11:11. Let me give you this because we only have 5 minutes. For those people that would like to go ahead and get ahead with this, let me ask you this. I'm gonna put everybody's hands on. How many people have enjoyed doing this? Raise your hand if you think this is an interesting way to learn how to program. Okay. Now I'm going to put my hands down. Don't worry about their name stuff. I'll put your hands down. How many people don't like doing this? All right. We got some coders and non-coders. All right, fair enough. All right. Now, let me show. We're only going to do, like everything in this class, we only do them for a few weeks at a time, so no worries, all right? All right, now, find nearest enemy. This is a new method, and this allows us then to attack that enemy. So you don't even need to know the name of the enemy. You just go say, hey, what's the nearest thing coming to attack me? And then I self-attack that. You need the glasses to be able to do that. So enemy 1, self-find nearest enemy, attack it twice. One thing I found is you really got to attack everything twice to kill it. And this is enemy 2, enemy 3. Honestly, you could put this in a loop and just do it once, and it would keep attacking everything. All right. And in here, enemy 1, find the nearest enemy, attack. Find this enemy, attack, and then move right, move down, move right to get out of there. All right. So, and this is just to help you get stuck. It's a combination of find the nearest enemy, attack them, and then move. You know, and you can kind of see the pattern here. Right. There it is. There's your 2 attacks. And then they allow you the last thing in 15, they actually allow you something, this hammer allows you to build things. And in there, you give it build type and a string. So you do self build XY. Where you build? Well, you build a defense, and there's the locations. We'll pick back up on this Wednesday. Okay? Let me see if there's any other questions here. All right. Yeah, post your checkers on the well. I think Hope already gave me your checker. Yes, Hope, that'll do it with the checker on that. And again, you don't have to necessarily do a checker. If you want to cast a mold'em, you can. If you don't want to cast a mold'em, go ahead and you can make something bigger, something that's not a checker. All right. Ty, I'm not sure what it's saying. Hang on one second. Ty? Hello, Ty. I'm trying to get you to figure this out. All right, which one are you working on? Which one are you working on?
All of them.
Well, wait a minute. You haven't gotten any of them to work?
No, I've gotten them to work, but it tells me to put this dot move right instead of self.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to figure out which. So let me get an example of code, and you can tell me what it's telling you, all right? How about that? Let me see if I can find. Okay. So self.move right. What is it telling you not to do when something like that? What is it telling you?
It tells me to put this dot move right.
All right. Which programming language are you using?
JavaScript.
You got JavaScript? Well, I wonder why yours. Let me look at mine. I've got self. I'm not sure why you've got this. Let me look. So like when you go into heroes, all right, that's default Python. There's JavaScript save. And that's what I've been doing. Let's go here. I still got self, dude. I'm trying to figure out what this would be. So if you replace self with this, it works.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And it tells you to use this, but not self.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to look that one out, my friend. I'm not sure. So in your help section, right? See where my help section is?
Yeah.
Click on help. What does it read say down there? Does it say self.movedown or this.movedown?
It says this, dot move down.
I think you're in another language. I got to go back and look at our language choices here. Can I check, and then I will, when we talk Wednesday, I'll have looked it up by then. And can you recheck
Okay.
and make sure you're not running in another language by accident? Because I'm not, you know, in the beginning, especially in these first few lessons, I'm surprised it's not self and it's not consistent with what everybody else has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish you would have asked me a little bit sooner on this, buddy. Okay, folks, this is what I'm just going to cover for tonight. I will try to figure out where this came from. I'll do some checking on this. No pun intended. And we'll go ahead and I'll load up the webinar tonight. Please start working on your checkers and whatnot. I've got a new Polar 3D printer coming in. You'll be able to watch your stuff print from this location. Okay, everybody? All right, you all take care now. Bye-bye.